Man, if I were to tell you For Honor will have one of the best E3 showcases at this year's Ubisoft press conference back at its initial launch in 2017, you would call me crazy. You would tell me the game wouldn't even last until 2018, let alone get a spot at the Ubisoft press conference. And looking back at the game during its initial launch, you would be in the right to say just that. Many of us have forgotten the many issues we faced as a community during the early months of For Honor. Everything from connection issues to microtransaction controversies to balance landslides to include that god-awful $10,000 Hero Series tournament. I mean, that shit was terrible. That shit was terrible, you guys. For Honor has seen it all, man. So with this in mind, how did we make it this far? How did we make it to this point? For Honor is in a position where it can truly make its way to a Rainbow Six Siege level recovery in terms of quality and content. And while the game still has a lot of work to do in terms of balance, one thing is for sure, this is not the same game that released in February 2017. Ill Nation, what's going on with you guys, man? It's Kid Illest Truth in the building, and today we'll be looking at the growth of For Honor. More so, we'll be looking at the driving forces of this game's long-term success and what I personally believe made it possible for Honor to reach the point it's at today. With the Marching Fire update introducing a completely new faction as well as the new flagship Breach game mode, many gamers were in shock at the Ubisoft press conference. Not because of the update itself, but because at this point, up to their best knowledge, For Honor was all but dead. So the For Honor community has been thus far existing in its own little bubble of both prosperity and controversy since its launch in 2017, and I believe it's time we enlighten the gaming community as a whole on For Honor's track record, both good and bad, as well as the future of the franchise. So with the foundation laid out, let's start with the product, the bread and butter, the game itself, For Honor. Let's get to it, you guys. For Honor is, well, For Honor. And what's funny about that statement are those who are in the community will know exactly what I mean, exactly what I'm talking about. And those who aren't will look at me and just be like, okay. But what I mean is, this game has walked the path of its own thus far. It's similar to Siege in the sense of it's improving over time, it's adding new characters, adding new heroes, but that's really it. You can't really compare it to any other fighter on the market from a gameplay standpoint. So what you have is a result of a Dark Souls and a typical fighter in the sense that you match up and do fights. It's got a little bit of MOBA and Siege in it, which pits 3 soon to be 4 factions against each other in a 3D medieval setting. So what you have is like a slower paced weapon melee fighter where strategy can make or break you. And to call that unique would be an understatement. And this is the main reason I believe For Honor has survived through its worst moments. It captivates the very thing it sets out to do. It allows you to truly feel at home in this medieval setting. Character models in their respective environments look and feel truly unique. Shadows and lighting elements are top notch. Animations and audio cues are crisp and smooth. When speaking from a graphical standpoint, For Honor was easily one of the best looking games of 2017, no question. But unfortunately, that's not enough in today's day and age. I mean, any game could look good, could look pretty, you know what I mean? But how does it play? That's the real question we're trying to get to. So try asking that to 5 different people who exclusively played For Honor during a different season each, and you'll probably get 5 completely different answers, to be honest with you. You got Season 1 players who will tell you they barely got to play at all due to the constant connection issues. You'll have Season 2 and 3 players who will pretty much fucking hate the Centurion to the point of breaking their fucking controller in fucking fits of fucking rage. And while you have Season 4 and 5 players having less connection gripes, but more civil discussion on balance and rework changes for their favorite heroes. And while I won't go into full-blown details on the game's past connection issues, as you can find that all over the internet at this point, I will say that yes, they were there. Yes, it was an issue, and yes, it was unacceptable to launch a game in the state that For Honor was launched in early 2017. So while it's dope to see these improvements on connection in the form of the dedicated servers and lag compensation make their way into the game eventually, they should have honestly been in the game from the very beginning, to be honest, but hindsight is 2020, and with the uniqueness of the game, Ubisoft went with what they thought was honestly the best option in the peer-to-peer network, as many other fighters used this system to much success in the past. And with the connection being one thing almost resolved, balance is a completely other story. Balance amongst the 12 original cast members, in addition to the 6 DLC heroes, was a complete circus show from the jump. For Honor may be the first fighter where every single hero had both its time to shine in a near broken state, as well as a period of pure obscurity within the roster. And while these time frames vary between each hero, one thing is very clear. While connection issues are all but resolved, balance has a long way to go within the game, and its very dedicated community has been in a gridlock debate on every aspect of it. And when I say we're dedicated, I mean that shit to the bone. If I could describe the For Honor community in one word, that word would be outlandish. And I mean that shit in more ways than one. Players in the For Honor community can vary from being the absolute embodiment of toxicity to being the absolute meme creating trolling geniuses that resided in Kenzo's sleeping stream from a few days ago. The difference is uncanny, but if one thing that both sides share on the spectrum, it's their dedication to For Honor. The community loves to hate the game just to love it again at the sight of a new trailer or rework. But why is that a thing? Why does this community have so much loyalty to For Honor, a game that's taken over a year to finally become fully realized in a sense? I believe in my heart is both the community itself as well as the uniqueness of For Honor. Both share an equal part in this community's loyalty to the game. For Honor is one of those titles that you keep close to heart. You never just sit it down, you know. You try to, but you're always either checking out the Reddit or watching the live stream or discussing balance changes, or should I say arguing about balance changes. We can never discuss shit, but the point being, while players may not play For Honor actively anymore, many have continued to stay up to date with its updates since its launch. And to keep it short, I think it comes down to the learning curve as well as the potential the game has to be truly great. Once you take time to learn something as nuanced as For Honor, you don't just want to give up on it, and when you see something have as great as potential as For Honor does, you always want to keep an eye out just in case it finally becomes fully realized and perfected. And of course, with this being a competitive fighter, players have adopted a sense of toxicity and salt. And y'all know I'm not lying. This whoop that trick beat ain't on for no reason. Y'all know I'm not lying. I mean, it can get pretty bad in all the game modes, to be honest. I've even seen live stream chats get pretty damn toxic. It's unfortunate, but it's sadly true. Some members in this community treat each other like shit, and it's the God honest truth, man. And we have some work to do in this regard, y'all. But while I've seen some communities get pretty toxic, I can honestly say For Honors is one of the worst in terms of pure rage and insults towards one another. But it's not all members of the community, you know. A vast majority of us are chill individuals who can handle taking a loss. You know, it's not that big a deal, it's a game. But as a content creator, I'm able to meet a lot of our members. And speaking of content creators, let's talk about them for a second. I think this is very underlooked as a whole, but creators in the For Honor community actually interact with their supporters at a very high level, like a very high level. You can see live streams where creators are playing custom games with their subscribers, not because their supporters paid them to do so, but because they want to show love to the followers, they want to show love to the subscribers. And it doesn't just stop there. You'll see numerous creators interacting with one another in the comment section at live streams. I mean, it's not uncommon to see countless creators and streamers in one live stream at the same time interacting with the viewers. And that's rarely seen anywhere else in game. And I mean, it may happen, but not at the level that you see it in For Honor, because most creators look at each other as purely competition in other genres, but it's truly different on the side of For Honor. And that's the main reason I've chosen to personally stick around this far. And while my love for Honor is like true, and I'm thankful for the opportunity it's given me as a creator, you guys are honestly the reason I personally stuck around this far. The love this community has shown me has been unmatched by anything I've ever experienced before in my life. But with this level of dedication comes issues, or should I say disagreements. Let's keep it at disagreements. Like, yeah, players have become very adamant about their balance ideas, and most will disregard others' ideas. And I don't think players do this shit on purpose. I just think a lot of players have become so invested in their own experiences and gripes that they sometimes fail to see others' perspective. So while the player base is very much growing and alive, we still have some growing up to do in regards to healthy behaviors and discussions. And if we're the ones growing up, I guess the developers over at Ubisoft are the big brothers overlooking things. And the growth and prosperity that we're experiencing with the For Honor in this year wouldn't be possible without some major changes on their end.
It don't matter what you tried to do, you couldn't destroy me. I'm still standing. I'm still strong. And I always will be.
When it comes to the three AAA developers, that being EA, Activision, and Ubisoft, I could say Ubisoft Montreal have housed some of the most creative minds in the gaming industry for the last decade. I mean, we can credit them for so many dope ass titles, you guys, from the OG Assassin's Creeds to the Far Cry 3s. Ubisoft's creative vision is amongst the top dogs in terms of unique ideas and scope. So it shouldn't be anyone surprised that For Honor will be developed by Ubisoft Montreal. But you know, on the flip side of this coin, it's always a flip side. Ubisoft has had a habit of biting off more scope than they can chew, to say, and this often leads to technical bugs and glitches, as well as the notorious graphical downgrade Ubisoft has been known for the last several years. And while For Honor managed to keep its trailer and pre-release visuals intact, unlike previous Ubisoft titles such as Watch Dogs and The Division, For Honor did have major issues upon its release in 2017. Matches were lopsided due to the matchmaking system being skewed and unfair. Balance was an afterthought in favor of cool ideas. The previously stated network issues were in the mix in full effect. In-game cheating in the form of unlock tech and all that other crap was prevalent. The game was a mess, to say the least, and as a result, players left the game in masses during its first 3 months on the market. So all in all, while For Honor sold really well, its player base reached its lowest point in record time. So with this in mind, the developers had the choice to either let the game slowly die and fade away until a sequel was completed, or they can fight for their vision and work on the game post-launch. And they went with the latter, and this alone speaks volumes to me personally. In today's day and age, many gaming publishers are in a constant state of, if it doesn't blow up, leave it. Companies are very much so in the mindset of abandoning titles when it's clear the profits have reached its peak, and investing further into specific games may not equate further profitable gains. There are so many examples of this in the current industry. Look at Mass Effect Andromeda. BioWare has all but left the game in the past in favor of their current development, Anthem. Epic Games' Paragon is another example of a title that literally has been discontinued in favor of a more popular and profitable game, that being Fortnite Battle Royale. So why doesn't Ubisoft make the call to shut down For Honor in favor of an Assassin's Creed MMO or Division Battle Royale or whatever arbitrary game they may or may not be working on? In my heart, I believe it's the developers themselves, not Ubisoft as a whole, but the actual developers of For Honor who didn't allow this to happen. But first thing first, let's get one thing clear. I don't believe this game will reach Rainbow Six Siege in terms of player count, as For Honor is a fighter, and fighters typically reside in a smaller niche of gaming in first-person shooters, but what I do believe is For Honor can improve the Siege's level in terms of quality and content, and this is where the developers come into play. My respect for them is sky high, not because they made some great game, but because they stood by their product when the odds were against them. This gaming industry is so damn fickle, so quick to ride the latest wave and even quicker to leave it on a moment's damn notice once it looks like the profit is starting to decline. Throughout For Honor's debacle, the developers have always stood by their product. Yes, they've made mistakes, but they've set out to correct those mistakes, and thus the community has stood by them through and through. Between the addition of the dedicated servers and lag compensation, to the quality of life changes, to the pure investment of reworking current heroes on the roster, Ubisoft have been fully committed to this game's success since its launch and continue to show its dedication well into the game's future. Well over a year after its release, Ubisoft plans to release Marching Fire, a complete expansion to the current game, introducing 4 new heroes in the form of a new faction, the Wulin Dynasty, a new game mode in the form of Breach, tons of graphical upgrades, and countless other improvements we don't even know about yet. When you take into account many game publishers attempt to force annual releases for the sake of profits, this expansion is truly something special and should be appreciated by everyone in the community. So when I say the For Honor dev team had one of the best E3 showcases at Ubisoft's press conference this year, it's not because of what they introduced or announced, it's because of what they stood by in today's industry. They stand for growth, and the For Honor community should stand with them. So there you guys have it, man, and of course with the end of the video brings the discussion. How do you feel about For Honor at this point, you guys? I know we have a long wait until Marching Fire in October, so we're gonna have to grind out the summer, but how are you guys feeling with For Honor at this point? Do you still play it? Are you actively playing it? Do you play it every, like, a couple times a week? Did you stop playing altogether? Are you still addicted to the game like February 2017's release? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you know anyone who was at some point interested in For Honor, if you can go ahead and share the video with them. There's a lot of effort that went into this one, you guys. As you guys can see, it's a lot of effort that went into this video, so I definitely want to reach out to everybody who was at some time interested in For Honor or who are interested in it currently. I want them to see this video because I want them to get a realistic view of our community, the good and the bad, not just the bad, not just the good. I want to give an objective view on the community itself. So If you guys could share it amongst your homeboys, share it in your group chats, I very much appreciate you guys. And if you guys are new to the channel, you're just now seeing me, I wanna welcome you to Ill Nation, welcome you to this channel. And if you can consider subscribing. We'd like to do discussions like this. A lot of them aren't edited to this level, but nonetheless, we like to do a lot of discussions, a lot of talks about different things and aspects of this game. Of course, there's going to be newer games in the future. We're going to bring this level of quality and higher levels as I grow as a creator to the channel. So if you are new, make sure to hit that sub button, sub up, consider subscribing, and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. And yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, you guys. I'll see you guys in the comment section. I'm gonna be in that bitch like a hawk. I'm off today. It's 4th of July. I'm chilling. I ain't got no barbecue. Shit, it's tough. It's tough, but nonetheless, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace to the world. Peace to the earth. We are out, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap. Peace, y'all.